Hi all. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I was here exactly 1 year ago talking about diversity and women in DevOps. And if you guys look around, you'll see why that subject still matters. And we'll get back to that in a minute. But firstly, it is a double pleasure to be here today because of Andre. We've done some projects together. And it's good to find him here and to speak in the same day he does. And we have a lot of things in common besides doing projects, well, before in media. And are there any Benfica fans here? I'm very sorry, today is the 11th, not the 10th. Sorry about that. I cannot compete with Andre on the technical levels. So yes, I'm going to talk about our journey of DevOps here in Meo TV, but also I'm talking to leaders. I'll be talking to Scrum Masters and to managers. Are there any here? Scrum Masters? Yeah. Some leaders? Well, we all should have put the hands right because we all are leaders, if not at least of ourselves. We are leaders, right? But I'll be sharing some tips of what worked for us and what didn't in leadership styles for us to get to DevOps. So basically, first of all, this is TV. It's a tremendously complex ecosystem. I'm talking about IPTV, I'm talking about OTT TV. It's not just having a digital presence, it's not just having a website or e-commerce or everything. It's TV. It starts with streaming and stream control and devices and logins, and we have to control all of that just before we can have provision and just before we can have a good experience for our customers. So it's very, very complex to have a TV ecosystem running. And because of that, when we launched Meo 10 years ago, we really would test thoroughly every new feature, manually, of course, in every environment. And because of that, how'd you say it? Oh, here. The 5 nines, I don't know if you're familiar with the term. The 5 nines means that we have to have high availability, and that means 99.999% of availability all the time, because this is TV. So we really have to have a lot of mechanisms in place to make sure that we're not ruining anything. But eventually we got to the point where we had a lot of features to deliver, and we had the market pressure, and the time to market had to be a little more rapid. So we had our share of the need to do something, and looking at that and figuring out what to do, and we did. And the result was this, where we would have a release every 2 to 3 months. We now have a release of every 2 to 3 weeks, and sometimes even faster than that. We sometimes release every week, and this is TV. And we have a medium time to deploy, about 95% less than it used to be when it started. And we got rid of one of the environments, and we automated tests and deployments and everything in the other 4 environments. That's what we did. It all started because some years earlier we've been looking at agile, and we were trying to get there. And well, we had our shares of Scrum butts, and we stumbled a lot, and we fell sometimes. But we found our way, and we found our path. And I should tell you that there are 5 departments working on TV at Meo. We have the product department, we have the engineering department, we have the engineering ops department, and then we have IT. I'm the manager of the development team in IT. And then we have Altis Labs, which makes the front ends for TV. So it's difficult to get all this thing running and everybody working together. And when we started with Agile and being all these 5 teams being the first ecosystem really moving into Agile, and every one of us is working with that mindset, we were looking and remembering our ops colleagues. Now, seriously, wouldn't it be good not to have a 100-page or so deployment plan throwing over the wall to our ops colleagues, as we already didn't like to have a 100-page requirement document throwing over the wall for us, or a test plan, or everything. So we started trying to figure out how we could do so we could work as a team with our ops colleagues. And then we found this. We found this in a lot of ways. The first thing we did was we co-locate. Now everybody works, all the technical teams of TV work together in a big room, and sometimes it really gets noisy, except for the people that work in Covilhã. It doesn't make any sense that they come here. And our colleagues of Altis Labs in Aveiro. Besides from them, we all work in a single room. And we really get up and go and talk to our colleagues, ops colleagues, engineering colleagues, development colleagues, whatever. We get up and we talk, and it gets loud. And we sit side by side, and we will resolve the stuff together. And we really work together. But not only that, we also have a DevOps forum, if you want, where we discuss all the things that are going on. Every month, we choose through 3 or 4 topics that we would like to discuss and talk about and resolve, and we do that in that forum. And also, we have a task force of test automation in every environment, so that with the environment's responsible team, so that we can have tests throughout the environments that are really good examples of what is going on, and that we are safe to run. But also, we found out that as we do that, we really learn. We learn with each other. And that is probably the best lesson that we take from all these years together working, is that how much we learn and how much we need to keep learning. Because how many of us do think that our job will be like as it is today in 5 years' time or 2 years' time? It's not. One of the biggest lessons that we can take is that we really need to do some learning every single day. And maybe we're not just learning fast enough, but we still need to get that going. So what about automation? We automated tests. We have unit tests in dev. We have integration tests in QA. We have some smoke tests and sanity tests in staging, and also some sanity tests in production when we deliver. And also we automated our deployments with Azure DevOps and with release management. So we have our automatic builds, and we have all of that is automated. So you really only have to press a button for everything to happen in the next environment. Who does press the button? The person that is responsible for that, because we have, as I told you, we have 5 departments working on this. So we have different departments that are responsible for different environments. But one thing that we understood is that we really don't have to be in just one department, and we really don't have to have just one boss to work as a team. And we really do work as a team. And if you go there in the morning or in the afternoon, you're not going to be able to say who's dev, who's ops, who's engineering, who's what. So the results are this. It took us a year to automate all the components in all the environments a year. And sometimes it went really badly, and sometimes we had outages. Sometimes it was 5-minute outage, but it's enough when you have the 5 lines hanging over your head. But then we had 78% less tickets, and you can see we don't have a lot of tickets. Our debt, you see, it's 70. It's not 70,100, it's not 70,000, it's really 70. Because our debt is very, very small, because this is TV. We always had a small debt, but now we have an even smaller debt. And as a leader, as a manager, I told you I manage the team, the dev team in TV. As a manager, the thing that probably is the most difficult to change is our posture and learning to let go. And having the team deciding on the house and having the team doing it as they feel they should do it. We're not in holacracy model just yet. Some teams are more near to that than others, but we're not yet, because this is Altice Portugal and it's a little bit different structure than yours. But the thing is, we leaders have to lead in a way that our people are happy, our people are motivated, and that is to give them all the autonomy we can give, and give them all the tools we can give for them to learn and to apply what they have learned. So the first thing we should do is to create a safe environment. And to create a safe environment is not only to have the opportunity to experiment and fail, knowing that nothing is going to come, that our bonus is not to be cut and everything, but is also having the opportunity to learn from that, but is also for having the opportunity to dissent, having the opportunity to speak our minds even if it's different from the rest of the crowd. And that's difficult. And when you do that as a leader, you have to be ready to hear what you don't like. And you have to do something, and you be ready to do something about it also. Secondly, the KPIs. KPIs are sometimes winners and losers makers, and nobody likes that. Your KPIs should look at not the output, but the outcome. They should look at how much value you are increasing, how much value you are delivering, more than how many lines of code, how many stories in this sprint, and everything. That's important, yeah. But how much value are you putting in this sprint? And then learning, and learning, and learning again. Do you know that natural curiosity comes along with empathy, and we really need empathy in our teams to have better products? And also, natural curiosity persons, natural curious persons are the ones that can go a long way to bring the learning, the continuous learning DNA for your teams. So also look out for them. Have them in your teams and help them bringing all the others to this natural state of mind that is always learning. And when you're listening to others out of curiosity and not just to respond to what they're telling, because yours is the very truth and your truth is better than theirs. When you do that and you get to learn a lot, you also get to look at things in other perspectives that give you sometimes better answers and better solutions. And then the benefits. Yes, we have more innovation and more positive changes, and we have reduced conflicts. And also feedback, not only in retrospective meetings, but individually. When you're in one-on-ones, look out for those feedbacks. ask for them, and do something about them. Now, I had to talk about diversity, right? Right, ladies in the room? I had to talk about this because it's not just about gender. And yes, we have gender diversity even at our Scrum Masters level. It's not just about races and nationality. And yes, I've looked out for that also. We have Brazilian people, Cuban people, we have Portuguese people with Goa origins. We had a lot of different people. It's not just age. We have people from 26 to 56 working on TV team. But it's not just that, it's the way of thinking. If you're delivering software for the whole world, shouldn't you have the whole world represented in your team? How can you have better solutions if it's not representative? You have to do that. This is a study from 2016 from HBR that shows us that the more diverse the teams, the smarter they are, the more innovative they are. And yes, it's difficult because people don't think alike, they don't speak alike, they don't act alike. And sometimes it's really difficult to have consensus in our team. Yes, it is. And it's on me because I made the choice. Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, we come out with better solutions. I'm convinced of that. So what are the great lessons learned here? First, let the team decide on the how. I've told you that. Better yet, don't tell the what to do to your team. Sometimes we listen, you tell the what and the team decides on the how. Why should you tell the what? You just tell the team what is your problem that you want to solve and let your team work their way through with the solution. Second, give visibility, especially when I've come from a company that is not even close of being agile. That's TV, and then that's the rest. And it's very, very, very important to give visibility as we get going for everybody to understand what is working, how we're working, and what are the breakthroughs we are accomplishing. It's very important. And it's a long journey. And we cannot, when we start, we cannot aim to the moon, even because we're not even close of knowing how to get there. So we really have to be with the first step and the second step, and then we iterate, and then we continue, and we continue until we get there. And we don't really get there because it's a journey. It never stops, right? And then celebrate every success, especially when we're starting, especially when we have the dev team and the ops team together working. We really have to celebrate together every success we have. For example, when we were automating the deploys, we had a lot of difficulty to have confidence in the process. And it was difficult to get to production and had the automation in production because we had a lot of errors, even though we had the help of external consultants. But even then, we had some difficulties. So it was very, very important to celebrate the success. Well, we did it on dev. Let's go to QA. Well, it did it on QA. Let's go to, and it would be several months between each other. We did it in QA. Let's go to staging. And then production. It's very, very important to celebrate every success, even if tiny, when you begin. Now, don't let the tools enslave you. The tools are very, very important, especially when we're talking about automation tools. But when we're talking about other tools that are very good at keeping your backlog tidy and everything, well, it's your process and your organization, not the tools, okay? The tools should accompany that. The tools should help you, not enslave you. And last but not least, it is a long road and a hard road, especially when we feel that sometimes we're not that with that company and with that strengths we should be. But there's always somebody there to help. There's always somebody willing to help. Well, external consultants, when you pay them, of course, but not only. There's always somebody that, oh, well, I've been there, and what I've done was this, and this. Why don't you try doing something like that? And then you take it home, and you experiment, and you see how it goes. And sometimes it goes well, and sometimes it doesn't go too well, but you have other ideas when you have the results, and you keep going. That's very important. So, about the tools. It's your process. I've taken this from Chris. It's your process. Sometimes the road is long, but you have to keep going, and you have to iterate, and you have to try again and try again and try again. For example, we tried again twice in BDD. We tried to implement BDD, and we didn't get it right twice, and we didn't get it right. And we are learning everything that didn't go well, and we are trying the third time. Yes, we are. And this is our journey. So I cannot end this talk without having some diversity value to deliver to you. So I was looking out for what Nicole has to say about diversity and learning. And this is it. It's not taken from Accelerate, it's taken from an interview that she did last year. And this is something that I was sharing with you. The world is made up of many people with varied experiences, so we should do the same in our teams. And what are we going to do next? Or what are we doing? I've shown you until 2017. What are we doing now? Well, we had 10 years now, even a little bit more, of old code. So we have to break it. We have to kill some ancient components, and we're moving on to microservices. In fact, this month we're launching 2 new products already using microservices, but I cannot tell you just yet what they are. Of course, the difficulty is designing a good architecture for these services, and yet we tried the first time and we weren't, I'm not going to say that it didn't work, but we weren't just satisfied with that, so we designed the architecture all over again, but I think we got it right this time. And now we also understood that we had to step up on log analytics, so this is what we're doing. Elastic, Happy Insights, Kibana, that's what we're doing. We're moving from proof of concept now to the real deal. And yeah, collaboration. Collaborate, because this is a journey and we never arrive. And yeah, this is pretty much it.
If you could go back in time, like 8 years ago, what advice would you give to yourself?
If I could go back in time 8 years ago, the first advice I would say is that you got to start agile. It's a lot easier when you start agile and you start working with the ops team and everything, rather than already have your process in place and a lot of code in place, and then you have to break everything and start all over again. It's very difficult, while maintaining your high availability platforms and everything running and the new features going to the product, and also thinking about what are we going to do to improve that. It's the main thing. Whoa. Was that really an interesting?
So thank you for sharing. The thing is, it's cool to have something like Altis, to have someone that's opening to fail. But it's open to fail and to retry again.
Yes.
That's important. So Can you please talk me a bit about what's your process of discovery or the process of innovation, even inside DevOps, because you are going to microservices, right?
Right.
Probably you have done a bunch of tests, test loading, you have tried 500 architectures, whatever, 500 providers, identity servers, whatever. So, what's your process? Can you share something about it?
My process of experimenting and
Your process and your team.
yeah, I wouldn't do anything. Well, I cannot do anything by myself. If it's really important, you have to do it with somebody. It's not going to work only one person doing it. Well, we really had a lot of things going on because in historic times we had Microsoft with us because of Media Room and all that. So basically our first choice is always Microsoft, even if in microservices we're using even Service Fabric and everything instead of Kubernetes and Dockers and everything. But what we do is that we do two things, especially when we're planning our sprints. We always have quotas, not for women, no we don't, but we have for software. What do I mean with that? We have a quota for functional, yes, I'm talking functional requirements, and that's the product's requirements, and then we have a quota for what we call preventive maintenance, but it's nothing other than innovative changes. So when we're moving to microservices, when we're talking about automation, when we're talking about having better response of some services or everything, this is where it comes. Preventive maintenance. We have a little bit of very tiny corrective maintenance quota because, as you said, you saw, I don't need it. But we have some preventive maintenance quotas for us to do some spikes and to try again and to draw our architecture and do whatever we need to do.
Why don't you call it innovation? It's just
Because historically, innovation is in Altis Labs. So when we say, oh, we're innovating too, you are, but you shouldn't. That's Altis Labs, and you don't have to do that. Well, yeah, we must.
I mean, inside your process, right inside your realm, you all
Exactly. Our DNA, yes. Exactly. But, well, preventive maintenance can also be used when we really need to work out on the service response time.
You just give him a spike and call it preventive maintenance.
Yeah.
Searching for something. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. And when we need for difficult things and last-longing things like changing our architecture and everything, we always get external help, and we have consultants working with us so that we also can learn how to do things.
When you talked about happiness, the first point was create a safe environment.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand your point.
Okay. My point with the safe environment is that firstly, everybody can speak their mind, but everybody has to be open to dissent. Even Scrum Masters, when somebody in the team does not agree with them, they can be able to tell them that, and they can be able to discuss that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we know we can experiment and we can fail. And as long as we take lessons and we learn from them and then we apply them and iterate, nothing really dramatic is going to happen. We can fail. We will fail. That's one thing for sure. We will fail, but we don't have to be afraid, and we don't have to spend any effort trying to hide our failures and our errors so that nobody finds out and nobody knows. We can just discuss them and, well, this was it. How can we do better than next time? And then we move on.
So it's about mind, mindset, and technology.
Yes, it's more mindset than technology. It's also an iterative process, because you know that when things get tough, you will fail more than once. So, but you'll feel better, and expectedly you'll feel cheaper and faster. So, it's always an iterative process. Okay.
The relations with the other companies, similar companies of the same group. Are you working for them or with them, or both?
My relations with the companies of the same group. You mean like Altis US? Well, we are working with them. We are now working with Altis France on the new project, a new product that we're going to be launching, maybe by the end of the year, and we're partners. And we have suppliers and vendors from those companies that are also working for us.
You talk about DevOps. How about security? How is it paying, or because it's not DevSecOps? How is it going in that way?
Okay, we have a SEC department, and what they do is they give us all the guidelines that we should implement. So it's up to us to implement the guidelines that the SEC department issues. So it's the ops team that is going to make sure they are the guardians of the SEC procedures. They will make sure that we have implemented it correctly and that they are working. And when they change and when they are reviewed, the ops team looks at that with our help to see if they are still correctly implemented or if there's any change needed.
So you receive security requirements at the beginning, because in the security by design, you should be, I don't know, be doing security at each step and not only in the end to check with the ops. So I was just wondering how you keep this tracking.
Well, the ops team is with us every step of the way. But yes, we implement that, and yes, we implement that in every environment. So that, for instance, I'm recalling that when we had the attack last year of the random software, the ransom virus. Yeah. The WannaCry, we had a... But not on TV. But not on TV. And that was the weekend where we had the Pope coming to Fatima, Benfica winning, of course, Benfica winning the competition of the championship, and the song contest, the European Song Contest, everything in that weekend. And TV was marvelous. And the TV service didn't go down because we have it implemented in each in each environment. And how do we do that? We have a checklist, if you want, that we are implementing everything, and it's also automated in the tests. Thank you.
One last question.
When will 4K be the standard?
Sorry?
When will 4K be the standard?
4K?
4K, be the standard.
I didn't understand.
4K resolution. 4K resolution of 4K.
Well, it depends. It depends more on the channels than on ourselves. It's a standard for those channels. The question is, when will 4K 4K will be a standard? When will it be a standard? It still depends on the channels and their availability to produce 4K content. Well, for instance, I'm recalling that RTP1 produces a lot of content for football games and everything in 4K, but I'm not going to say they're the only ones because we have some channels in 4K like Lux TV and everything, but it's still not enough.
So, thank you, Cristina.
Thank you.